This is Sidebar. Please join us online by going to sidebartv.com. Get on social media, watch us during the show, and then join us after the show. We continue the show with your questions and comments, and we just really appreciate every single one of you who helps by participating in the show every week. And by the way, I always forget to mention that if you are Christian, or if you're not Christian, or if you're interested, that you should definitely join R-Rated Christianity. That happens every Wednesday at 8. I cannot...
Did you see my cup or what? Is that what you saw?
I didn't, but I was going to tell you.
I wasn't trying to give you a subliminal message, but thank you for this.
It's very hard to miss, considering it's 18 feet tall.
No, if you think that there are fireworks on this show, even though it's R-Rated Christianity, the fireworks just never stop, because that show has them too, and it's a lot of fun to watch. If you haven't heard of it, definitely check it out. And you can go on all of the social media platforms there too. Okay, so this week, Andrew Cuomo raises $400,000 in 2 days when Eric Adams drops out of the New York City mayoral race. Diddy was sentenced. I heard, let's see, no dudes in dresses. That comment. President Trump says Hamas has agreed to enter negotiations. And this thing that I hear about every single year, and I never know what to think about it, the government has shut down. It's dragged into the weekend. It's day 4. If you come here for the very first time, you're going to love it, because we have got the former Bexar County DA, Nico LaHood, trial lawyer, managing partner of LaHood Norton Law Group, and who says to me every time, if you get in trouble, don't call me. And George Araujo, scholar, former chemist, and pharmaceutical researcher and director. I do want to start with the government shutdown, because it's been going on for so long. And I'm not talking about the shutdown. I'm talking about every single year they're like, the government's going to shut down. No one's going to get paid. You're not going to get your Social Security check. And is it a bluff? Is this hurting somebody? Because it seems to definitely affect a few people who get those government checks. But in the long run, who does it really hurt? I guess I really want to start with the government shutdown. It seems like jobs are going to be lost this time.
Yeah, they're non-essentials. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. I mean, nothing.
That's
the government's
what they call them.
Really going to shut down. I mean, we're not.
Right.
Obviously, we haven't shut down. And I look at whatever your position on is, and the last couple have really forced me to dive into it. I think the last one was, 35 days or whatever it was. I mean, and I think people are learning that the government doesn't really shut down now. Look, it's personal in the sense that there's 2 people in our office where their husbands are furloughed. So, I mean, look, I'm not going to just talk about it like, it's no big deal and get over it, and non-essentials. And no, they're essential in the sense of they're providing for their family and they're doing genuine, good, hard work. But what I think but we're learning that the government doesn't shut down.
Right.
I mean, we don't just cease to operate. The border still gets enforced. I mean, things still happen. I mean, yes, there's some inconveniences, no doubt about that, and some families unfortunately are affected. But this has turned into, I mean, many people have talked about this. I mean, this has turned into some type of, like, they're holding ransom. They're holding them over their head. The Democrats are trying to play a game, it appears to be, where they want to get a bunch of things in this CR bill, this continuing resolution. I mean, that system needs to change too, Georgia, right? I mean, we got to just kind of get our crap together and either fund the government, figure it out, run this business well. If you look at the government as a business, run it well, plan for it properly, fund it appropriately, take out all the fat, so to speak, and all the stuff that we don't need, because there's a lot of stuff that's fit in these big, huge bills when you talk about these bills that nobody reads, and that happened years ago. You talked about, we'll read the bill after. You're gonna pass law.
That was so crazy.
You're gonna use the American people's money, and then you're gonna find out what. Nobody runs a business that way. You just don't. And if you manage the business for an owner, they'd fire you. So it just seems a lot of people are talking about, what the Democrats want in their bill, and that they're holding the government hostage. I mean, that's kind of a talking point on the right, that they're holding them hostage. And then let's just check and see if the evidence supports that. And what they want to expand the health care for illegals. And then you have 3 Democrats that voted against that, and then they're going to take some heat for that too. And what happened last time with Schumer, because Schumer kind of helped out Trump in the sense, really helped out the American people, and then he just got railed by the Dems on it. So now this time, I mean, Schumer learned his lesson, and so he's doing
for this time.
He's toting the party line. And so there's just a lot there. I didn't know what you wanted to go, Karen.
That was really impressive summary.
Yeah.
Okay, we can go home now. I mean, is there anything else to talk about?
Are we non-essential? Can we go home?
Oh, no, back to COVID language.
Right.
Remember, we were actually talking in those languages. Are you essential? Am I essential? I was happy to be an essential at that time. You know, what we're learning is that the doctrine of shutdowns being the apocalypse is now out.
Right.
That's a nuance, and man, I embrace that. And Schumer brought that doctrine last time he quote unquote caved, and then he was just shellacked for that. But who's shellacking the Democrats? And that's the base. We're learning a lot about the Democrat base in case you haven't awakened to the fact that the Democrat base is completely unhinged. There is no policy that drives Democrats together more than hating Trump. Whatever we can do to bog Trump down, there's not a single policy that's been put forward on any meaningful thing. It's all about hating Trump. And so this is their way. This is a hurrah. I think it's going to be grossly unsuccessful, truly. Because what's happening now, finally, the GOP is actually reversing the talking points. This hostage stuff that you're talking about, Nico, was started by Barack Obama in 2013. But this philosophy of using shutdowns very successfully, by the way, against Republicans, goes back to William Jefferson Clinton in 1995. And it did. Because Clinton brought forward hundreds of $billions in deficit spending that were rejected by Newt Gingrich's Congress. And there was this kind of reining in of the Clinton administration. And look, you can see this linearity. They were arguing over excess health care spending in 1995. In 2013, with Barack Obama, the argument was over excess health care spending. And now you just said the argument is over excess health care spending. The particulars and the parties have changed slightly, but it's the same kind of thing. This system of Medicaid and Medicare, while there's some really good things and necessary things about it, is rife with corruption and rife with abuse. And so the Republicans have been on the end of trying to rein that in. Typically, it's the Democrats. Total reversal here. Typically, it's the Democrats, right? Wanting to put stuff in, and the Republicans saying, let's hold it back. Now the Republicans are saying, we actually have some policies in here that will rein these things in, and the Democrats are saying, take those policies out. Interestingly enough. So it's a total reversal. So what policies is it? And it goes back to the one big, beautiful bill. Right. The one big, beautiful bill passed into law, reining in loopholes for abuses. And yes, a lot of them were towards not just illegal aliens, but aliens who are not citizens.
Like from outer space? What are you talking about?
That's what I want to know. That doesn't make sense.
The two Biden programs you're talking about, George, we gave health care to illegals. The emergency health care at the hospitals, for illegals, that's one of them. And then Biden gave mass parole to illegals and then made parolees eligible for health care. There's different ways. Paroles mean from paroled out of your immigration situation. But I mean, those are the ones that they're trying to rein in. But what I think, this.
Elaborate on that, because that's important.
I wanted to bring it up because you mentioned it, so I want you to dissect it for us because, that's your wheelhouse. But to me, this exposes, once again, the hypocrisy of the Democrat Party. Do as I say, not as I do. Because I recall, and I love watching these videos, because videos are a thing. I don't want to say what I'll say on the after show. The videos are a thing. I mean, they're gonna come back and haunt you. AOC was said about shutdowns before. We don't shut down the government because we don't get what we want. Okay. Do you believe that? Do you really believe that, AOC, or was that just convenient? And then you got Schumer that said average Americans will suffer the most if the government shuts down. Okay, Schumer, well then you don't believe what you said before. Hakeem Jeffries said families will be hurt, farmers will be hurt, et cetera, et cetera. Other Democrats said it's the service members who will be hurt, the everyday people. Who it hurts? The everyday people. That was kind of that talking point all this last time. And so then I push back and say, okay, did you really believe that? Was that a principle you were standing for and advocating for, or was that politics? Is it a principle or politics? Let's dissect it. And if it's a principle, well, then they should still be saying these same things. If it's not, then it's politics, and then they're exposed.
Yeah.
How in the world are Americans watching this without the big reveal of what's going on?
Well, I think, Karen, Americans have, and to Nico's point, and I think it answers your question, is that Americans have realized that shutdowns this apocalyptic language around shutdowns is complete BS. I mean, if I go around asking anybody right now that you know, wow, how do you feel right now during this shutdown season? And people are like, what are you talking about? They have no idea.
Right.
Because to Nico's point, these are truly non-essential functions. Things like military spending are preserved. Things like, the Secret Service, essential security operations are preserved. There are things that can't be touched by statutory law that are truly untouched. I mean, do you remember in Barack Obama, again, going back to Obama, because I thought he did this really well. The whole theatrics around it. He was roping off national parks. And the national media was there. And people are like, oh, wow, the whole world's going to end because I don't have access to a national park. When, in fact, they actually did in many cases. So there's a lot of theatrics around it. So I think that's an important statement to say that's over. I think most people have kind of moved on. But now what's exposed is the hypocrisy, truly the hypocrisy, and the fact that Republicans are, I think, appropriately shining a light on the fact that Democrats want to spend billions and billions and billions of dollars on healthcare expenditures for immigrants who are not citizens of the United States and illegal aliens. Notice the talking point that's come back from Democrats. This is a joke. This is all theatrics. Federal law already prevents illegal aliens from accessing healthcare services. That's true. That's absolute. What's the problem, though? The problem is that just because federal law prohibits it doesn't mean it hasn't been happening, right? So we got to pick up on that, because that's where the talking point, I think, needs to be blown apart. And J.D. Vance is leading the march in that regard, and doing very, very well.
We are going to take a break right now, but stick with us. And remember, go to sidebartv.com. Please consider contributing to the show so we can continue these great conversations. I don't know about you, but I'd be shaking in my boots if I was Democrat and non-essential. We are going to continue next after this break on Sidebar.
With reputations as respected high-level prosecutors in Bexar County, the attorneys of LaHood Norton Law Group bring invaluable practical knowledge from the other side of the aisle, using over 70 years of combined experience to strategically advocate clients' rights and pursue the best possible outcome.
I'm Nico LaHood with LaHood Norton Law Group. Have you been arrested or accused of a crime? The LaHood Norton Law Group has the knowledge to defend you regardless of how small or large your case. In Bexar County, anywhere in the state, or even nationwide, we have the knowledge to defend you in federal or state court, no matter how small or large your case. We are trial lawyers with proven success.
Using their 70 years of combined experience to strategically advocate for their clients' rights and pursue the best possible outcome. The LaHood Norton Law Group. For a free consultation, call today, 210-797-7700. 210-797-7700. LaHoodNorton.com.
This is Nico LaHood. If you or a loved one has been arrested or accused of a crime, we can help.
LaHoodNorton.com.
1200 WOAI, this is Sidebar. Go to sidebartv.com so that you can join us after the show. Okay, I wasn't listening, but I was listening to you during the break, Georgia, and you said this is not really all about the illegal aliens. But I did think it was a reveal when they were saying, okay, which one of you Democrats, believe that illegals should have health care? And like every single one of them raised their hand.
That was during the debate.
Yes, and so, I know, but then what we're facing as American citizens coming up in the next few months is the possibility of Obamacare losing some of its government backing and people's health insurance going up sky high, which means that we are now all in a pool trying to get the same money when it comes to health care with the illegal aliens.
Right, Karen. I think that's well said. I think at the end of the day, there's a pot and there's less money available for American citizens. And so the one big beautiful bill reined in loopholes that allowed people that shouldn't be getting access to these services to no longer have access to these services. And so now what they're trying to do is to roll back those provisions. And it's not just illegal aliens. It's people who aren't eligible for those services and those monies because they are not American citizens. Biden had a huge parolee program, as you were mentioning, Nico. You cross the border, and then you would be given parolee status. Let me give you an example. Jose Ibarra, the guy who killed Laken Riley, was on parolee status, and he had access to these.
But explain what parolee is, because parole to some people means that you served a prison sentence for a criminal violation, then you served a certain portion of it, then you served the remaining part of your sentence on parole out in the public.
Sure.
So you're talking about immigration parole,
yes, that's right.
Sure
I am. That's right. Thank you for clarifying. In the context of immigration, you cross the border, and the Biden administration had a parolee status that they would award an illegal crosser. And it would essentially serve as documentation. So you are technically no longer undocumented. You see,
Wow.
That's the point.
Wow.
And so now you have documentation that allow you to tap into services. And Nico was right to bring up the emergency services, because there's two tiers here. You either have access to Medicare. In this case, it would be Medicaid. There's Medicare and there's Medicaid. I think Medicare, and the difference is that one is monies for people who are 65 and older and have certain disabilities, and then the other one is for people who are just simply income challenged, and it's that one that's particularly abused. And so now you have these people that are kind of in a gray area. Are they illegal aliens? Well, they are, but the Biden administration kind of stamped them a temporary in-free status that was allowing them to get access to these services. We're not talking about a couple $1,000. Even if we were, it would be too much. We're talking in the tens and tens of billions.
What George is describing is a kind of a money laundering operation, but with illegal.
Yes.
So
that is a great way to explain it.
If you have illegal money, then you put it through a legal business and you money launder the money into now it's good status money. It's not illegal money anymore. That's what they're doing, what George was describing. Sure. People come in illegally and then they are cleaned. It's laundered, and now they're no longer have a certain status.
Well said. But I think, Nico, ultimately, you have to ask yourself the question, and this is the spotlight now before Americans. Why are Democrats? Why is the Democrat Party right now? Why is Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer and the AOCs and everybody in between? Why are they fighting so hard to preserve these subsidies? Why? For people who are not citizens. And this tells you a lot about the priorities of the party. Why? Because that's their caste system. That's their voter base. That's why. You are taking away incentives for people to come here and then to vote Democrat. Let's just say it like it is, please. And it's the great replacement conspiracy. You know, I'm not a conspiratorialist. I often find myself, as Nico knows, in the position of debunking what I think are ridiculous conspiracies, some of them dangerous. I've never been a conspiracy.
Saulo, George. Don't offend Saulo.
Never been a conspiracy fan. But I am, again, it's the difference between, as we used to say in COVID, Nico, when we were on the show, we'd say, this isn't about conspiracy, it's about coordination. We saw coordination of multiple efforts right before our eyes, reported in, it was ubiquitous throughout the media. And so we would just simply call out a pattern that was obvious to everybody. And so everybody said the Democrats trying to get people in here who are legal to create a voting base. That's all Republican, conspiratorialism. When in fact, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like one, it probably is.
So someone sent me a video and it was good. It was a little portion of an interview, and the interviewer brought, what do they call it? Brought the receipts, so they speak. I call it cross-examination when you're in trial. And on the Democrat continuing resolution on page 57, I'm going to go George on you guys, 57, section 2141, it actually calls for the repeal of the restrictions from the big, beautiful bill that limited federal dollars to parolees and illegal access. Yes, to health care. So there it is. On the continuing resolution, the Dems are trying to slip it into page 57, section 2141. So,
You'll sign it and we'll read it later.
Yeah, so you call BS on stuff like that. That's what you have cross-examination for. Right, in Proverbs it says the first to speak in a lawsuit sounds correct until the cross-examination begins. So this is what happens. The government has gotten too big. I love the idea. This is just an idea, and whichever side supports this idea, I'm with you. Let's slow down. Let's find out what we're passing. Let's find out how we're spending the American people's monies, because we as public servants are stewards of the American people's money, and we're running the business of the U.S. government like crap. And so they need to be held accountable. This is part of the accountability. And the Democrats that said that they're running and that they're advocating certain principles are being called out, and in my humble opinion, exposed that it's just politics to you. It's not principles.
Well, if you're watching on the Salo cam sidebar this morning, what did Rush Limbaugh used to call it? The Ditto cam?
Ditto cam, yes.
And you can see us in the studio. Nico stole my thunder here, but it's absolutely important what he said. There's an appropriations.senate.gov, and you can look it up, Continuing Appropriations and Extensions and Other Matters Act 2026. It's a section-by-section summary, and it literally goes through every single section. And section 2141, it's not terribly long, I don't think. Read through it. but it's littered with stuff like that.
Yes.
That's the point. Simply rolling back what is now essentially law so that they can basically engage again in pork barrel spending for people who are not constituents of this great nation. That's unacceptable. And I think it's, look, kudos to Mike Johnson and kudos to, this is what we've been asking for. It's what we voted for years. You know, get out there and make your case. I mean, we have been losing due to deafening silence for years. And now the Republicans are going out there and saying, here's what the Democrats are saying. Here's what's actually true. As Nico said, they bring the receipts. I'd like to know who started that, by the way, the whole bringing the receipts. I don't know. I'd truly like to know. But bring the evidence. And they do. They bring the document. They say, here it is. They're publishing it. They literally bring it with them as talking points on when they're in interviews. I mean, this is about facts versus fiction. So good for them, because this is a big deal. Americans do care about this. They actually voted for this. We do not want to be subsidizing illegal aliens in any immigrant in ways that only Americans by statutory law should be subsidized or supported, namely
George,
through
how do you
health care
feel about the fact that the Senate needs 60 votes to pass the legislation?
Yeah, I mean, that's the
filibuster. That's the whole filibuster deal, and that's why we're into this CR kind of cycle. I call it the CR cycle, because we have to continue to just temporarily fund the government because we can't pass crap, you know. Yeah. And I think that seems like it's a glitch in our system. You know, maybe sometimes it's a benefit. It really depends, right? Like I always said, there's been filibusters on both sides that have stopped legislation to go through. Look, I just want the will of the people to be heard, period, end of story. And if at some period of time the will of the people say do X and that's not what I want and I wanted Y, well, then we heard truly from the people. I can't stand the huge government. I don't like the administrative state. That was not the idea of the founding fathers, the large government with all these damn letters on there, and that these are unelected bureaucrats that they get to make law and actually enforce law. That's the part that irritates me like crazy, is they make law, enforce law, and then they can't be held accountable because they can't be voted out. And that's that administrative state. Now, I'm not saying this is part of that. I'm just saying the government has gone off the rails, and I think this is an example of it.
But look, I have to say, I think if you look at this as truly a chessboard right now, I read a piece that said that the Democrats have pushed Trump exactly into a corner where he wanted to be. Which makes sense, because now that we have a shutdown, you've probably heard of the Office of Management and Budget under Russell Vought. I mean, they are literally taking a true axe now to additional spending.
Well, I know this is going to come back and bite them.
It truly is.
Now Trump is using this.
Yes, I think that's right.
Trump's going to use this as an opportunity to identify even further, quote unquote, non-essential services and programs to shave off more. This is going to be different than the Doge operation.
All I could think of is
Doge
Nico,
2.0.
play it out. What's going to happen at the end? And that's exactly what's going to happen at the end.
Yeah, that's right. So this is a big deal. Not just, and you've heard that there's thousands of people that are going to be furloughed. But I want to just say that because they're not just laying off people, they're going to be literally changing job descriptions, and they're going to be seriously going through department by department. These are departments that are really still in play, even after the regulatory structural changes that have been made over the last few months. That these are departments that are truly overhead in the government that have done the bidding of Democrat priorities, even though you have a Republican president. And so this is a wonderful opportunity for Trump to go after those things right now. And they're not going to be coming back. That's the thing. If you discontinue the job's relevance, then what are people coming back to? So go ahead, please.
Non-essential means non-existent.
Again, for me, it's somewhat personal because it touches our firm family, because two of our family members, I call them family members, employees, their husbands are been furloughed.
Wow.
And so so it's real. I mean, I'm not going to say it doesn't affect families. I'm trying to make objective analysis from a big picture, and we're making the political analysis and application here. But it's real. It's going to affect some families. There's no doubt about that. But I think as a whole,
let's clarify that for people. Just since we're on this topic, you're furloughed and you're going to return and you're going to get back pay.
Yes, absolutely.
But now there's a different section. It's not just about being furloughed. It's about being fired, because
that's a different one. That's right.
The job is, if your job is extinguished,
discontinued,
then there's nothing to come back to. That's number one. And then truly just completely changing. Agencies in general. Trying to shutter whole agencies and whole departments. And so this is ultimately it's a net positive. I'm not saying nobody's going to be affected. We're certainly not saying that. But we're just saying that if you're furloughed, you're going to be coming back with back pay. I'm not a big fan of shutdowns. To Nico's point, this whole continuing resolution is part of the problem. We do have the GOP is actually trying to go through the appropriations process, where each of the 12 major bills to fund different sections of the government, different agencies, different major operations of the government, they're voted on, they're passed. They're actually trying to stick to a schedule right now, and they're trying to get past this drama so they can get back to the order of business. So let's see what happens.
Typically, between October and January 1st, regular corporations, not government, will start making budget cuts because they say, this didn't happen, we've got to shrink the budget. And so people, especially like in the media business, that's when they start getting laid off, October, November, December, so that they can start January, the new year, with the right budget. Am I crazy to think maybe people didn't get it, like when they work for the government, that there was the possibility that you could be fired or that there would be budget cuts? Like, is it news? That's what I don't understand. Why is it such a big deal when a government worker gets fired? It doesn't make sense to me. Like, they're like, you can't fire me. Well, everybody else in the whole world gets fired.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the sentiment of all government workers.
It feels like a lot of them.
Maybe
it
some.
is.
I mean, look, you're talking about how many workers are you talking about when you say quote unquote government workers? I know that's not the sentiment of the people that I know that are working in government. I mean, I don't live in that world.
Yeah,
you
me
can't
neither.
fire me.
But
I mean, to me, I'm a merit-based person, and so if you're not doing a good job, I think most people trust the government in the sense of, hey, I'm doing what the government's asked me to do. They had a job offering, I fulfilled it. I had the qualifications, and I'm doing my job. I should be able to depend on that job.
I've also been laid off saying that same thing.
And you're about to get fired now. But so I'm just joking. I'm teasing.
Do I get back pay?
No, you don't get anything. George's going to hire you.
And a lot of people trust the government, just not government investigators.
Overall,
We carve out an exception.
You trust the government for sure. For some reason, George trusts all these government investigators.
Yeah,
like,
Who are these government
who the hell are
investigators?
these guys you trust so much?
Okay, we're going to take a break. Let's negotiate this. Be sure and get on sidebartv.com. We'd love for you to join us after the break. We'll be right back.
San Antonio's news, weather, traffic, plus breaking news 24/7. This is News Radio 1200 WOAI from the GiveMeTheVin.com Sell Us Your Cars studio.
I'm Eric Lankham at News Radio 1200 WOAI. President Trump praising his partners in the Gaza peace proposal that Hamas is partially accepting. Details coming up. First, traffic and weather together.
From the WOAI Traffic Center.
35 southbound between Olympia Parkway and Loop 1604. We've got some construction that has the right lane closed. Over on 35 northbound, the off-ramp to Evans Road is closed due to construction. I'm Alexis, News Radio 1200 WOAI.
On our way to 93, sunshine 80 now at the WOAI 24-hour weather center. Our top story. Hamas agreeing to release all Israeli hostages, but not the whole peace plan proposed by President Trump, who celebrated the news in a video posted to X. He thanked the countries involved.
I want to thank the countries that helped me put this together. Qatar, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, and so many others. So many people fought so hard.
Pressure on Israel to end the conflict in Gaza has mounted in recent weeks after Canada, the UK, and France announced they would formally acknowledge a Palestinian state. San Antonio Fire Department says a squatter was found dead inside of a burning building west of downtown. They say that home was vacant. The victim was homeless. There was no electricity. They're still trying to figure out what started the flames. News on demand at WOAI.com. Our next update, top of the hour, breaking information as it happens. I'm Eric Lankham on San Antonio's news, weather, and traffic station, News Radio 1200 WOAI.
This report is sponsored by Stand Up to Cancer.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. She's looking at the cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
1200 WOAI. This is Sidebar, please. Go to sidebartv.com. That's where we will stay when the show ends because we continue the conversation. There's so many topics that I want to get to, but I guess going back to what we were talking about earlier on the government workers getting fired, George, you did mention that there's not a lot of sympathy for those that are getting fired in the government because a lot of us out in the corporate world have been fired, and so it's hard to say,
I'm not that person who misery loves company. I mean, it's just.
I'm talking about the masses.
Yeah. Oh, I know, Karen. And your free Diddy shirt is really influential. but no,
thank you very much. How could they do that to him?
No, I mean, I think I am always going to encourage not making it us versus them. Look, I mean, I just say, look, do you believe in a principle? Do you mind if that principle applies to you? I mean, this is the real world. People, and this is what happens when you get away from merit-based employment and merit-based acknowledgement, meaning if you don't, I'm just entitled to this, whether certain young people think that, nobody should be entitled to anything, to me. That's it. I mean, we have to work for stuff. You have to work for stuff. I can't stand participation trophies. I mean, my kids have never gotten one. I would throw it away and burn it if they ever tried to, and my kids wouldn't grab it. They're not going to bring that thing home because you don't get credit for participating in life when you're trying to. There's no participation trophies in professional sports. No, everyone's okay with merit-based assessments when it comes to professional sports, and when we watch those things. But so I'm not saying you were going that route. I'm just saying I want to be completely inconsiderate. Again, I'm going to be honest. I'm influenced by the fact that it's affected two of our families in the firm. They're calm about it. They understand the process. They know there's going to be back pay. But I'm just saying. I mean, I'm not just trying to say it's us versus them. Tough crap. That's what you get.
There are always good people, responsible people, productive people, responsible people, and who are caught up in an otherwise ocean of excesses. And I think the reason I was suggesting to Karen, not suggesting, and we see it in the polling, there's not a whole lot of sympathy for the notion that government workers are laid off because people are tying that to the broader discussion on regulatory bloat. That's the issue.
Sure.
And so a lot of truly innocent people who are doing a damn good job consistently
That's all I'm saying.
are going to get affected.
That's right.
Basically the same argument that you have, wonderful children that are caught up when parents do stupid things.
Yeah, I get
it. The same principle.
But I think Karen's point is that a lot of people are tying it. They're not thinking of the individual families.
No,
they're just
you're right.
Of bloated government,
yes.
right? And so they're losing the perspective.
The fourth branch of government. Unelected bureaucracies that at the end of the day diluting a conservative presidential agenda and kind of synthesizing their own agenda through the Code of Federal Regulations, which has hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pages. I'm not exaggerating. The last number that I saw was 188,000 pages of regulations. And these regulations are costly, they're burdensome, and many of them ultimately lead to
that George
the curtailing of individuals.
During his last bathroom trip.
Well, I grew up in the world of the code of the CFR. I mean, I mean, Part 200 in the pharmaceutical world, the Code of Federal Regulations is where good manufacturing procedures are documented. And it's not an accident that every single year there's got to be a re-tutorial across the entire corporate complex. Well, who the hell is adding those things? Right. Now, you might say, well, Congress did. But what we found is that there's a lot of daylight between what Congress is okay with and what actually ends up in a regulatory framework. That's the point. Who's really running the roost here? And so Trump caught on from Trump 1.0 to 2.0 that a lot of the churn in getting done what he wanted to do was coming from this regulatory firewall. And so he's learned his lesson. And so now, the chickens, in a sense, have come home to roost. And Americans voted for that. But in the process, yes, of course, there are some people, unfortunately, who are doing a damn good job who got caught up in it. It's rather sad.
Okay, good decision, bad decision with Eric Adams.
I mean, it was a good decision because he was going to win. I mean, so I think it was a good decision for him. I mean, Cuomo's happy about it.
You're saying he was not going to win?
Eric Adams was not going to win.
Correct,
Yeah, that guy was going to win. I mean, I don't even know. Yeah, his own family's probably not going to vote for him.
That guy wasn't going to win.
But I mean, that only helps Cuomo's. But Mamdani seems to be running away with this thing. And look, is it a bad thing? I mean, I kind of hope Mamdani wins.
Salo just said that.
Oh, really?
So many
Did you?
people are saying, just let New York go to hell.
Well, it's not that. I don't mean it that way. I mean,
but that's what's going to happen.
But now we can have another laboratory experiment on these crappy ideas. Let them see what happens. And then when the pain of staying the same exceeds the pain of changing, then people will hopefully change. And then there'll be a revamping and a detoxing of that mindset. But at least we can point to New York and say, okay, here's. And I'm not saying this like, oh, screw New York, because there's a lot of good people in New York. So like, wait a minute, don't forget us. We're trying to fight here.
Yeah.
But you got the Republican candidate. They're wearing a damn red beret. They look stupid as hell, and it just irritates me. The guy, no one's taking that dude serious.
No.
I don't even listen to what he says.
Sliwa.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Curtis Sliwa.
Whatever. I mean, all I know is he's the dude with the red beret that nobody wears, and you look like an idiot. Don't run for office if you're going to do that crap. It's just stupid. No one takes him serious.
I love LaHood political analysis. Yeah, whatever. Guys,
he's not, what you staying in
red
for?
beret.
Why are you staying in for?
Yeah.
Pepe Le Pew? Get out. I mean, just get out.
It does kind of look like Pepe Le Pew.
I don't know what he looks like. He's just an idiot for doing that. I mean, I don't even know what he's standing for, to be honest with you. I know he's walked the streets in the past, and I know he probably has good intentions, but the road to hell is paved with good intentions. If we want to win, we have to be strategic. For me, it's Matthew 10:16. I'm sending you out like sheep amongst wolves, so be shrewd as a snake and innocent as a dove. We've got to be better strategists. We've got to be smart. That's what Charlie Kirk did so well, by the way, and he was effective at it.
Yeah.
And Red Beret dude isn't going to help. So he's irrelevant. So Eric, sorry about my rant. But Eric Adams, I mean, it was the right move, but it looks like it's not going to make a difference. I don't know. Maybe it could be something in the end, and people are missing the polling. But my Diamond went on The Views with those miserable chicks, and he was saying, I'm not a communist. I'm a what is it, democratic socialist?
Yeah, I mean,
what's the difference?
Yeah,
I mean, that wasn't a hard press.
Communism is rooted in socialism. It's basically a militarized, atheistic form of socialism. So they're definitely very close bedfellows. And then fascism is another outgrowth of socialism. But bottom line is the state is king in every single one of those. Even though they don't pitch it that way, they pitch it. It's the people. It's the collective. Everybody gets to say. Yeah, right up until you don't. So, but what's disturbing to me is that I'm concerned that this is not just contained to New York. The Cato Institute Analytics, 2 weeks ago, I sent you a text, I don't know if you recall, because it kind of stunned me. I mean, we've known anecdotally from a poll here and a poll there, but the Cato Institute is no bastion of conservatism. And they came out and said that 2/3 of all 18 to 29-year-old Americans strongly favor socialism, and 1/3 favor communism. Now, just 25, 30 years ago, the very word communism in the average American classroom would have, stood the hair on the back of your neck. Because you know what? There was this thing called education. Yeah, and you were actually taught the horrors of totalitarianism in the 20th century.
But this is the academic system. You've been yelling about this for years, George.
And Mamdani is cashing in, baby. That's what he's doing. Yep. He's simply cashing in on an ocean of stupidity, truly. And so they're voting for him because Nico, he sounds like them. Yeah. He's touting.
But no version of socialism works. No, I don't care what anybody. We just haven't done it right. No version of socialism works. No version of communism works for the everyday folk, for the everyday people. There's no version of it's going to work.
Yes.
And the people, and you hear these young people because they've been indoctrinated, but they just didn't do it right. Well, which way do you want to do it that's so right? And they can't answer that question, of course. And so they've been taught and indoctrinated that free market capitalism,
Truly.
of course, can that be abused? Of course it can, because it takes something called self-control, morals, virtue, education, discipline. I mean, people can abuse anything, but just because someone can abuse it, does that mean, people abuse alcohol all the time. No one wants to ban that. I'm going to get on my rant about guns. People abuse vehicles all the time. Nobody wants to ban vehicles. People abuse the speed limit all the time. Nobody's advocating to drive 30 miles an hour only. But of course, except when it comes to guns, because a much smaller amount of people abuse weapons. They want to ban weapons. Okay, it all comes down to control. That's what. Have you thought about that? You take away guns, you control people better. If you let people drink, you can control them better. You don't want to take away people's happiness about getting to point A to point B fastly. So you're controlling them better. It's all about control with these folks, and that's what they want to do.
But Nico, think about it. We've said on this show here that this is, this is important. This is where the Democrat base is. This really is. I want to know why Chuck Schumer, the Senate Minority Leader, Democrat, lifelong Democrat, right? Last time I checked, he's Jewish. I want to know why Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader, how they can look at a leading candidate who won the Democrat primary by double digits and is still ahead, not by much because the lead is now narrowed, but still ahead. There's not been one condemnation of the blatant anti-Semitic, communistic rhetoric from this 33-year-old know-nothing. An articulate, hollowed soul. Listen to what he's saying, okay? He has been invited multiple times to condemn what the philosophical thrust of global intifada, which is the extermination of Jews.
Yeah.
He's threatened to arrest Netanyahu if he comes to New York.
As if he can.
He's okay. He's okay economically with free transportation, free groceries, frozen rent. He's okay with that. Zero means of paying for it. It's all about going after the elusive 1%, as if the math even holds up. So there's not been one condemnation, not one. Now, they haven't endorsed them. So what game are they playing? What's going on
It's
here?
a fear game. They're getting controlled. It's no different because the extreme radicals on the Democrat Party run the party. And the only way the Democrat Party is going to get credibility and be a contender to the middle of America is if they repudiate that type of ideology and take their party back. I mean, look, I ran into that platform. I remember there used to be a blue dog and a yellow dog Democrat. The yellow dog Democrat only represented more of a liberal mindset, like a Jimmy Carter. A blue dog Democrat was more of a JFK and other people that were just more conservative, like Joe Manchin and things of this nature. But now you have to be a nut job. You have to be completely left. And I'm not saying to run for office, by the way. I know a lot of people that vote Democrat that don't believe this, but they just stick to the banner because of the tribalistic mindset we have. But I'm part of this tribe. I know this tribe is jacked up, but I gotta vote for this. And look, get away from that and vote ideas. That's what I try to encourage people to do.
But notice the fusion of communism and Islam, and at some point we have to address that.
That's a big deal, man.
This is critical. At some point on this show, we'll have to get into that because we're seeing it more and more in the West, and we're seeing it in the United States.
Maybe you can give us a little blurb of it right after this break, because we've got to take one right now. This is Sidebar. Please go to sidebartv.com and join us, because we will continue the conversation at 10. We'll be right back.
With reputations as respected high-level prosecutors in Bexar County, the attorneys of LaHood Norton Law Group bring invaluable practical knowledge from the other side of the aisle, using over 70 years of combined experience to strategically advocate clients' rights and pursue the best possible outcome.
I'm Nico LaHood with LaHood Norton Law Group. Have you been arrested or accused of a crime? The LaHood Norton Law Group has the knowledge to defend you regardless of how small or large your case. In Bexar County, anywhere in the state, or even nationwide, we have the knowledge to defend you in federal or state court, no matter how small or large your case. We are trial lawyers with proven success.
Using their 70 years of combined experience to strategically advocate for their clients' rights and pursue the best possible outcome. The LaHood Norton Law Group. For a free consultation, call today, 210-797-7700. 210-797-7700. LaHoodNorton.com.
This is Nico LaHood. If you or a loved one has been arrested or accused of a crime, we can help.
LaHoodNorton.com.
Why are y'all talking about food? Stop it. I've been here since 3:30 this morning.
Since 3:30 this morning?
Well, I need to prepare for this.
At 3:30 in the morning?
Well, yes, I do. I have a problem. I like to be prepared. I like to have everything in order when I sit down so I can relax and think.
Is that when you put on your free Diddy shirt?
Hey, if anybody can see this shirt, this is not. This is for the good guys.
Sidebar, teasing.
The good guys. You know, you said something before the break, George, and that was about communism and the connection to, what did you say, Hamas? No, I don't know. What was the connection you were making, and how suddenly people need to realize what's going to happen if we do go the route of communism in New York City and other cities in America?
I think as we contemplate getting into the topic of Trump's ultimatum over Hamas, I mean, it's an inescapable theme here that the very spirit that drives Hamas, which is truly a militant Islam.
Yeah.
A militant, and let's just be fair, at least if you reduce it down to its texts, its religious texts, which are decidedly political in nature. Islam is a militant worldview. There's just no question about it. If you reduce it down to its texts, that's not to say that there are Muslims who don't subscribe to that.
Right.
I know quite a few of them who don't. I know Muslims who are in love with the American Constitution, truly, and they practice a very individualized, shall we say, I'm saying it nicely, form of.
But they wouldn't be welcomed back in Yemen or Afghanistan.
No, absolutely not.
But I understand they accept the title of Islam and Muslim, but then they've kind of morphed it and they've rejected many of the hadith ideas and concepts.
Very well put. That's important. If you reduce their practice down to, compliance or alignment with the religious texts, and you mentioned them, obviously the Quran, but the hadiths, the authoritative hadiths, the Sahih al-Muslim, the Sahih al-Bukhari, those particular hadiths, and then the Sirah, the biography of Muhammad. If you look at that, they would be considered by all matter of form basically apostates.
Bill Warner says there's not a radical Islam, and you should look him up. I mean, he's very educated. There's just Islam. If you understand the text, you understand the text. And so people say, let's just talk about ideas, guys. Let's just talk about ideas. Let's look at when a society has implemented these ideas under the hadith, under the Sharia law and all these other things, and let's just see if these are good ideas for a constitutional republic or for a free society. Yes. And we have a lot of experiments. We know we can look out there. You can look at these theocratic countries that are run under Sharia and strict.
That's an important word, what Nico just said, because that's really the singular distinction between Islam and what you would see in communism. Basically, it's theocratic communism. Yeah. I mean, you basically dress it in religious garb. And so just recognize that at the root of communism and socialism and fascism, the state is head and the state is authoritarian over all things. If you look at the number of deaths in communism, and there's so many texts that people could read, but I would refer them to Stéphane Courtois. He's a researcher in circa 2000, 2001. He wrote the Black Book of Communism. And that's where those figures that you hear a lot come from, which is about 120 million deaths through at the hands of multiple communistic regimes in the 20th century.
I got into this discussion when I was district attorney because people were trying to advocate back then, especially it almost happened in Irving, Texas, and they were talking about it here, about establishing a Sharia court where for Islamic people, that the Constitution wouldn't apply, that their government would be governed under Sharia, whether it be family disputes, criminal allegations, how to deal with theft, what to do with this, arranged marriage, whatever it is. Study Sharia, and I guarantee you, whether you're on the left or right, it's gonna concern you. And so I started getting into it, and I started studying and looking into it. They have 3 texts. They have the Quran, which is about 14% a little under 15% of their religion, their worldview, and they have the Hadith, and George mentioned a few of them. There's a lot of Hadith. Those are the traditions of Islam, and then there's Sirah, which makes up a very small portion of it, but that's the autobiography of Muhammad. We know more about Muhammad than we do George Washington. We know how his pre-sexual relations, what he did, how he went to the restroom, who he married, what he did. We had all that because he had scribes, because he was illiterate, that wrote down things for him. And when you look at all that, and I started studying the ideology and compared it and seeing how it went to implement into government and how they've run governments in the past, and look at Yemen and Afghanistan and all these other places, and whether free speech was welcomed, and whether if somebody wants to live out a homosexual lifestyle, LGBT matters. Not that I'm advocating for those. I'm just saying that's a freak society where people have options, not welcome there. A lot of things which would influence right and left people. That's why I made this analysis. I came down to a question that nobody's been able to answer for me. What do Poland and China have in common? George, is this one question you don't know?
Oh my gosh, you stumped him.
Please regale us. No.
Well, they both don't welcome Islam.
Oh, wow.
And I want to know why. I mean, I'm curious why. I mean, if I'm wrong, someone correct me, but I'm curious why. What is it about those two those two societies that are very different, by the way? Poland and China they're not different, but they agree on that. I'm interested. I'm interested why in Gaza and Palestine, the neighbors don't welcome in I'm wondering why the walls are true walls. Forget about what Trump's trying to do. I mean, if you looked at the walls from Egypt and Jordan and all these other places, I'm one of them. It just looks like, it's insane. These are legit questions. They're not mean questions. They're just legit questions. Because what I want to do is I want to preserve. I took an oath when I was district attorney to preserve and protect the Constitution. Everyone that serves in government should and does take that oath to preserve and defend the Constitution. I would preserve and defend the Constitution if it came up against Christianity, if I had to, against against any ideology. Now, I don't think that Christianity and the Constitution are at odds, by the way. I'm just telling you, I would, that you're making a pledge that this experiment called the American Constitution and the freedoms that our citizens enjoy and the ideas that undergird that Constitution, that document, and the principles that set up this government, we are to defend and protect them against anything, against any ideas. And so that's my filter when I'm analyzing that.
That is really good. I would say go back to Jesus' discourse in Matthew 22, 15 to 33, where you and I have taught on this God versus government trap,
right?
That they try to sort of lure Jesus into, basically making him pick. And he said, actually, no, that's not how it works.
That's right.
A truly dedicated believer, a la Jesus, respects the governing authorities.
That's right.
Now, they can engage in civil discourse, and they can even engage in civil disobedience, as they did in Acts chapter 5, verse 29, as an example. If, in fact, the government is telling a Christian to do something that is decidedly against a biblical commandment.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the book of Daniel do the same thing.
But you don't disobey the government. You don't tell the government to pound sand, and you certainly don't lead revolutions against the government because you don't like what they say, or you happen to have a leader in government who's of a different party than you are. This is a significant departure than the position, than the posture of Islam, which basically says that there is no higher law higher than Sharia, which literally translates to the way.
Yeah.
And so Islam in its rawest form, if Islam in fact has power, has majority representation in the United States, you would see an overnight shift almost immediately.
Oh, yeah.
And at some point we'll have to get into the multi-phase infiltration of Islam historically into societies.
Well, look at Dearborn. Look, we have an experiment. Dearborn, Michigan. That's not in a third world country. That's in the United States. Everyone studied Dearborn, Michigan. You have an Islamic mayor.
Yeah.
They're going to celebrate, or they're going to mourn the passing of a Hamas leader. Since we were going to talk about Hamas and the ultimatum that Trump gave Hamas, and which they seem to have folded. It seems like they're going to agree to as of last night. But so a Christian came to the city council meeting and said, "Look, I'm a Christian. I believe in peace. I don't know if celebrating a terrorist, Hamas leader, it promotes peace." And he was just that's all he said. I listened to a portion of it, and the guy said, "You're not welcomed here, and I will celebrate the day that you leave, and we're going to party when you." I mean, you're not welcomed here. You Christian that is pushing back against the celebration of a terrorist. You're not welcome here. They do public calls for prayer, which has violated their city ordinances a long time ago. If you go down their main city square, they have the Islamic chant, the prayer, the call for prayer, over the loudspeakers. 45% of I think they're government workers or Islamic. I mean, this continues to spread and spread. Look, it has nothing to do with you being Islamic. It has to do with you advocating the ideas. Our Constitution was not undergirded by Islamic ideology. And look, we've defended it before. It was undergirded by a Judeo-Christian ideology, a set of ideas. Even the three branches of government is in Isaiah 22. I mean, so 33. But all I'm saying is we can defend that. Islam was not considered, and this is just an objective fact. If you want to look at history, I'm not even making a Christian point. I'm making a historical point. And so we just have to start having mature, respectful, passionate, if you want to, conversations about ideas that are going to be implemented and what people are trying to do with those ideas, and are they trying to subjugate and replace a constitutional idea that this is our form of government, and that's not right. I will defend the Constitution against anybody, and if I don't like it, then I need to leave this country. That's just it. I mean, I apply this to myself as well.
But Nico, go ahead.
On this, we've lost an important voice in Charlie Kirk, because this was something that I think consumed a lot of his thinking in terms of what one of the really sort of probably the major internal force setting itself up against the Constitution, which really is the setup really of multiple Islamic enclaves in the United States. This is that don't assimilate. And Charlie just recognized this and was trying to raise it in more and more circles. I think it was an important voice on this topic. I mean, because I think he was going to get into this sort of incremental consolidation of power. That's one of the stages. Islam infiltrates. That's the first stage. The second one is consolidation of power. That's the second stage, because the populations are growing, right? All in the name of civil rights. And then you start seeing sort of an open violence with leadership and culture to impose Sharia law and then ultimately you have the imposition of a total theocratic state. We need to understand that Sharia, by definition, is a religious, it's a political, it's a judicial, and it's a cultural, really sort of apparatus, set of mandates. And so it's inescapable.
Karen, I want to know, and I'm going to say this, look, we know there's thousands of Christians being decimated in Nigeria. Thousands. I mean, this is not, no one's talking about this. Hardly anybody. I shouldn't say nobody. I want to, and these are by...
This isn't Protestants versus Catholics.
No. This is yeah. They want to say radical Islamists. Okay. Well, then where are the non-radical Islamists repudiating this? I want to know where are the imams, where are the mosques, where are the Islamic leaders that are repudiating what's going on in Nigeria? Because if that doesn't represent if somebody is, I don't know, I think I can say this part, bastardizing your idea. If they're misrepresenting your idea and abusing a set of ideas that you believe in, then you should correct them. Cops that see dirty cops, call out dirty cops. Lawyers that see crappy lawyers, call out crappy lawyers. Yep. Doctors, whatever it is, builders, whatever you want to call it. People in journalism, they should do that because they want to preserve their ideas and their profession. I don't know why that's not happening. What's happening in Nigeria, if you've seen they're begging for help. It's horrible, it's evil, it's demonic, and it should be called out by everybody, including people that are claiming that doesn't represent what they represent.
We're wrapping it up. We're wrapping it up already. But are we going to talk about Candace Owens?
Candace Owens on the after show.
And I have a question about Hamas and what they're saying.
Owens, Trump's, what is it? What Trump has an ultimatum that he gave. We'll talk about whatever people want to talk
believe
about.
that?
We'll take questions. We'll look at your comments. Thanks for joining us, guys. Please share these conversations with people that enjoy them. We really appreciate you tuning in and hope you join us on the after show. God bless you. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.
The preceding show was paid for by the LaHood Norton Law.
Is my mic working now?
Oh, man. Okay.
Is it better?
I guess one question that I had about the headlines when it comes to Hamas and President Trump is, why am I going to believe the headline that says Hamas has agreed to immediately enter negotiations? With all that you said, how is that even possible?
I would urge a lot of skepticism.
Yeah, I mean, look, I wasn't
a lot of caution.
Yeah, I wasn't excited about it. I mean, it's positive, but here's the bottom line.
Yeah, sure, we'll talk.
Trump's negotiation style is unique for politics.
Yeah, you're right.
And so Trump gave a strong ultimatum. He said, look, by 6 o'clock on Sunday, you need to release it or else all hell's going to break loose. Look, who doesn't think that Trump is serious? Look what happened in Iran. Look at Trump is serious. I mean, he's a formidable opponent. And everybody believes that about him. Nobody believed shit about Biden. How many times did Biden say, don't.
Just
don't. And then it's like, why don't for you, don't crap your pants. I mean, this dude, no one took him serious. So people take Trump serious. And he gave this ultimatum. Allegedly, they're saying, yes, I don't know about starting negotiations, but Trump called for Israel to stop bombing Gaza. Look, he knows something I don't know. And that's a serious position to take. So Israel needs to submit to that position.
Well, they've already said that they're following Trump's lead.
Well, they should,
because his objectives align with theirs. Okay, makes sense. I mean, they do have their nation, but I like that they're working together with the administration, that they're taking the administration's lead. And Trump has demanded, by the way, that he be involved in this through thick and thin. So good for them.
Who'd be involved with this?
Trump has demanded that he be involved.
Who's he? Oh, Trump be involved.
Yes,
oh, yeah.
He be involved in this from beginning to end.
Well, look, this was an interesting move, man. Trump really is the strategist. I mean, because you got Israel apologizing to Qatar for the bombing. Qatar has really stayed out, but Qatar has been a funder of terrorism in the past. Qatar is trying to move in a different direction because they've seen their financial benefits and they kind of like being friends with powerful Trump. I mean, it's just an interesting dynamic. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. And so I think they've isolated, it seems to me, I mean, I'm just observing, I'm not on the inside, but that they've isolated Hamas. And Hamas is like, oh, crap, we're on our own. Qatar is kind of like, you're on your own. Everybody's like, you're on your own. The Middle East is not up in arms over this. Have you noticed that? How many Middle Eastern, besides Iran, because, I mean, Hamas is just an extension. They're just a surrogate for Iran. So you're really talking to Iran. And that's why all the things happened previously with the bombing of their sites. But I just, look, there's a lot going on. I assure you there's just a slew. Even the experts don't know what's really going on behind the scenes. And we got to do our best to educate ourselves with the information provided to us, and just pray that we've elected the right people in office to handle it. Look, there's no doubt. I mean, even though Trump is by far not perfect, he does not walk on water. Not even close. But I just can't even fathom a President Harris dealing with this stuff. I just can't.
God.
I mean, you can't fathom it, and that nobody. I mean, no one's going to take her serious. I mean, and I'm not being disrespectful about her cackle or her laugh or her word salads and all the stuff that we see and we've known. And just, you just don't, when you don't take a stand and a principled stand on things and you don't show strength and you don't show that you're formidable, I'm going to go back to that and how people should raise their children. I mean, you're just not taken serious. Trump is taken serious. You don't have to like him, but he's taken seriously. And I think that benefits our country. Being selfish for America, because I want America to flourish, because I care about even the people that I disagree with. I want their families to flourish. I don't want their ideas to flourish, and that's why I hope my ideas are better and I can be more persuasive. But I want to keep a system where we can persuade each other and nobody's trying to, be violent with each other. That's the part I can't stand, where there's violence. And you were mentioning it's on a break, something about the mayor and her security, and she needs more security.
Oh, yeah, San Antonio's mayor. I wish that I knew more about it, but apparently I was a little bit confused because maybe I'm mistaken. I don't know these facts, but wasn't she for, defund the cops and all of this stuff?
Yeah, but I'm not that person.
I get it,
yeah, I mean,
but it's just so weird because when you are in, and the reality is that somebody's threatening your life.
Well, fear's a good motivator, and if
change.
she's afraid and she's seeing that, okay, well, I don't want to defund anything, and I definitely don't want to defund my security, and that's good. Hopefully, she's learned from that, and we learn and we repent, and that means you repent enough to change your direction, change your opinion. People are allowed to change their opinions, and we should welcome that change if it's a genuine change, and you're not just bullshitting me. But I can't stand. I repudiate all threats of violence. It's not a joke. It's not a joke when you've been threatened. I have. I mean, legitimate people. Hey, this is a serious one. Okay. I mean, all I can do is prepare myself, train with my weapons, keep my head on a swivel, as we say, and then trust the Holy Spirit to protect me, and then I'll go home when I'm supposed to go home. But thinking that being in fear, that's no way to live your life. There's no freedom in that. And so when you say, when people, that's what you get, bullshit, you haven't gone through it. Mm-hmm. I don't support any political official, and I would defend the mayor, even though I haven't heard one idea other than I think it's okay for her to question the Spurs stadium and for her to question how are we spending money. I like accountability, and I like to speak truth to power and let the truth fall where it goes. But I will stand with her, in front of her, beside her, to protect her. And then she can stand right beside me as I'm protecting her, and then she continues to disagree with me. That's what we represent. That's what quote-unquote conservatives are supposed to represent. So nobody should be gleeful or happy or that's what she gets. Nobody. Proverbs 24, do not gloat when your enemy fails or gets in some type of trouble, because the Lord will frown on that. And you just read it. I think it's Proverbs 24:17. You can check me. I'll look it up in a second. I'm pretty sure I'm right. But I mean, so I don't gloat in that. And I want her to be safe. I want all elected officials to be safe. I want us to debate ideas. And so we as conservatives should be strongly supporting the protection of our elected officials, all of them. I don't know if that's what you wanted to talk about. But
if you don't have security of person, what do you have? I mean, truly.
I just can't stand that bullshit.
That rises above
trying to control you with
politics,
fear,
right?
And that's it. Fear, control. How many times, I don't know, somebody else, some scholar, how many times did Jesus say, fear not, don't be afraid, don't be afraid.
Right.
Be strong and Joshua 1:9. Be strong and courageous, right? Don't be afraid. I mean, that's it. 2 Timothy 1:7. God didn't give you a spirit of timidity or fear, but strength, strong mind, power. I mean, through the Holy Spirit, through the Lord. I mean, so we can't live in a paranoid, fearful. We can be diligent. We should be diligent. We should be formidable. We should be prepared. There should be a big but. Hey, don't start anything with me. I don't want any trouble with you. But if I can't avoid it, then I'm going to smash you. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You have a right not to be a victim in our justice system. We defend a lot of people, third person, defense of third person. We're going to start a huge jury trial this week. where the officers are being accused of wrongfully being accused of allegations, and we're going to defend them, and it's going to be a dogfight, but so be it. I mean, so we have a right. Citizens, everyday citizens, have a right not to be a victim, and so do elected officials. And so I support the mayor's safety and her increased security. I wish she didn't need it, but that's the situation we're in, and we should all come together and completely repudiate and speak against any form of threats and violence and all that against our elected officials. Period. End of story. If you don't like it, fuck off.
Amen.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Next.
I don't know how you went from
I don't know
from Hamas, but I mean, but it's important. I mean,
you brought it up on a break, and I didn't hear about it. So I get this response because the mayor is elected, whether you like it or not. If you don't like it, vote her out. You don't threaten her. You don't threaten her out. You vote her out. That's the way this shit works. Right. You vote her out, not threaten her out.
That's right.
And I'm not saying the people that listen to us have done that, but everybody should have this response. Because if you don't want Kavanaugh threatened, and you don't want Trump threatened, and you don't want other people threatened, and you don't want whatever threatened, then we don't want her threatened. Nobody. I don't want Schumer threatened. I don't want Pelosi threatened. I don't want AOC threatened. I don't want Newsom threatened. I want them voted out, not threatened out.
Exactly.
Bullshit. That's not our system. We're never going to survive that. I promise you we will implode, and it'll be a Royal Rumble. It'll be a free-for-all, and we'll turn into a jungle. We cannot have that.
Argue, persuade the masses.
That's it.
And vote their asses out.
Persuade.
Yeah, we don't go there. I was just simply going to say, just to put a capstone on where you were in the previous subject, that I don't think it's going to happen.
What?
I don't think it's ever going to happen.
What?
Hamas is not going to follow through.
Oh, yeah.
They're already showing signs. You know, like they get a say on if there's a Palestinian elected authority, sure, we'll disarm. They're not going to disarm. They don't get a say on how they go about reinstating, or how the West, or how Trump, or how Israel, or in conjunction with any other Arabic states, gets to put together some sort of interim governing. They don't get any say in that. And so what they did say is that they were going to release all the hostages, but then they said it's not possible within 72 hours. Why? Sure it is.
Why? Yeah, why?
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, why can't you do that? I mean, are you serious?
Well, look, brother, tomorrow at 6 o'clock, Trump's going to, I think, it's not that we're going to do anything, it's Israel, right? Israel's going to do it, but Trump's going to give them the green light.
Let's see what happens. I don't know what, we don't know everything that's going on behind the scenes, but I don't believe for a moment that there is any path forward without the extermination of every single Hamas rat and vermin. I don't see any way forward. They're going to have to be excised like a malignancy. They're going to have to be wiped. I've said this from the very beginning. There is no future in that area or in that region as long as Hamas has any power whatsoever. And I'm not even talking about just having weapons. These people need to be exterminated. They they breathe the oxygen of massacre. This is why they exist.
Terrible,
we
man.
need to understand this is at the the center of their identity. It's not an accident that it's in the charter. This is who they are. And so I just don't see a path forward. And all they're doing is doing what they've always done, buying a little time to redirect, reposition. And for me, the most hopeful part of all this is, I don't trust it, but I think it's hopeful for Qatar to sign on with other powers, other Arabic powers. I think that's because
sign on
Qatar,
to what?
Sign on in this sort of joint pressure to tell on Trump's ultimatum to tell Hamas to disarm. To me, that's a big deal because they have been the number one source of funding, other than Iran. I mean, we're talking billions of dollars in the last decade. There's no strings attached to that funding. Like, hey, rebuild Gaza. That's never happened. It's always been material and financial support, and a lot of it has been weapons. So Qatar has been part of the problem, and it's not like they have a change in leadership. I'm trying to remember the guy's name, the premier of Qatar, the king of Qatar, but he's been the same guy for 10 years. So what's going on? Maybe Nico's right. Maybe there's Trump's trip to Saudi Arabia, I think, was hopeful. Qatar was part of that. What kind of game are they playing, though? I can't imagine that Trump doesn't know the history. I can't imagine it. I just can't imagine that. So I'm all eyes on Qatar for me. I don't trust them that they're sitting here saying, oh yeah, President Trump, sure. And then behind the scenes, they're telling Hamas, wink, wink. This is the game they've been playing for a decade, and they've been playing it at the cost of American lives. So I don't know. I'm not hopeful, but let's see what happens. But I don't see a path forward, honestly, without the extermination of Hamas. And as far as Palestinians in Gaza, really, we're going to go back to a Palestinian order because that's worked out so well for the last few decades? I don't see it. So anyway, let's just
a lot of nudges on Facebook about Candace Owens. Candace Owens.
Candace Owens. Yeah.
Well, what part? Because I know Salo idolizes her. So
well, she was she was on the left of politics until 2017. Right?
And then she went.
And then in the age of Trump, with all of the racialization of Trump, calling Trump a racist, she emerged as an important voice.
She was.
A truly important
and talented
voice. And yes, and articulate.
Yep.
An articulate, talented,
Smart.
Important voice at the time.
Bold.
Yeah. Around which, at least ideologically in that regard, I encourage my own kids to listen to her because I was impressed by her boldness. She was, I mean, truly a total departure from her previous left-wing politics to take on a pretty inflammatory topic, the notion of the racialization of American politics. And here she is. She's a black conservative female, talented, articulate. I mean, no wonder it was just a meteoric rise from being hired at Turning Point, and then being a significant contributor to PragerU, and then working at the Daily Wire under Shapiro. I mean, did a lot of important work, truly. And then she just got wrong. She went. I don't know where that happened. I'm fascinated by it, but she got completely wrong. Just shitty historical revisionism, particularly as it pertains to World War II. She went nuts on Judaism, and now I think she's just unhinged. So for me, it's I've told Nico it's a sadness for me. We sent our kids to TPUSA conferences. She was a keynote speaker at least one of them. Kanan's in the studio. Kanan was a huge fan at the time of Kanan. Everything was Candace. And so for me, it's a sadness to see what's happened to Candace.
Yeah, and for me, I think she's still an important voice. I think she's still extremely talented. I love her boldness. How she uses her strength is going to determine, I think, her future. Because every strength taken to an extreme, as we say, can be a weakness, right? And so I don't know why she got so concerned with Macron's wife's genitals.
That was weird.
She went,
very.
I mean,
weird.
That's still weird. I mean, I don't know who's going to win that one. I mean, I don't know if
who cares?
That's a dude or not. Huh?
Yeah.
Who's got more balls? I mean, I don't know, man. It doesn't affect my life, the United States' lives. I don't really care, man. I don't know why. I don't know what her motive was for that. I don't know what happened on that deal. But she's going through her lawsuit with that and the First Lady's genitals of France. So that was kind of weird for me. She really, to George's point, I don't have the historical context that George does after World War II, but she this is where she loses me. I mean, on this one issue, I'm not the guy that because she's wrong about this, she's wrong about everything. I want to know. I mean, I want to know. I don't believe that, and I think that's where we've gotten into tribalism. I think George more leans that way. Maybe if you're wrong, correct me. Then I don't.
What particularly?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you seem like you don't seem to like her at all. Period.
No, I look. She's a talented person.
No, I know. On topics. You already.
Oh no, I think she's an anti-Semitic shill, and I think she's an important voice in the wrong direction.
Okay. Well, see, I think she went off the rails on Judaism. I agree with you on that. She thinks that the Jews are responsible for everything, like JFK's assassination to. I mean, everything, all the woes, and where she loses me is, I said this to George the other day, and I got to find it. I can't find it. I mean, because it won't come up because nobody asked her these questions because she just rants. And not all her rants are terrible. I have to sift through her rants to see, like, oh, that was a good point. Oh, God, what the hell are you doing? Oh, that was a good point. Oh, whatever. That's how I deal with Candace. That's my technique with her. But when she was asked about Islam and Sharia, she goes, I'm just not educated enough to speak on that topic. Hey, lady, I mean, this is all you do all day long. You have people that research for you. You research. Right. This is your profession. I mean, you're supposed to hold people accountable. You criticize, rightfully so, politicians, Trump, when it's appropriate, whatever. I mean, definitely the Jews. And you can't take the time to educate yourself on Sharia and how women have been treated and how every different organization, from LGBT to women to society, and the lack of freedoms and free speech and cancellation and what's going on and what's happening to Christians. Really? I was like, well, that seems pretty biased to me. I mean, and I just, and she lost a shit ton of credibility with it. And then now she's on Charlie Kirk's murder.
Yes.
And she was Charlie's friend, no doubt, from the beginning. There's some questions on whether Charlie was going to bring her back on tour. And she did speak at Turning Point USA in 2014. Some people were claiming, or not 14, 24, 23, that she hadn't spoken there in 7 years, which that wasn't accurate. She did speak on things like that. And then then I was like, oh, what? Like Charlie was going to convert to Catholicism. He was praying his rosary. And I was like, what? Then Rob McCoy, his pastor, said, come on, stop. And then she goes after Rob McCoy and starts saying he's controlled. I mean, that's a response. And everybody's bought by Israel. And that's where it's like, okay, cut the shit, man. If you're going to make claims, just bring the evidence. I'm just that dude, man. Give me your hypothesis. Tell me why your hypothesis is valid. And then bring the data to support it. And then it'll become a theory. But that's not, I haven't seen that as much. She raises good questions. But she comes across like she's the authority and I have a good source. Well, okay, that's not going to work in the court of law, Candace. Like in your lawsuit with Macron's genitals, that's not going to work. When someone says, I'm bringing this and I was told, your lawyers are going to cross-examine the hell out of them and say, bring this thing called objective evidence. And there's going to be hearsay objections and there's going to be rules of evidence and all kinds of stuff that are going to apply.
It's so much more, but
brother, it's just, I don't know, man.
It seems to be so much
She's
more,
a mixed bag for me.
So much more crazy than that. You've talked about the Macron thing. That's crazy. I mean, the details are crazy. It's not just that she's a man. It's the whole story. She doesn't deny that Brigitte was born a woman. She says that somewhere along the line, she died and that her brother, basically, that in essence, that Macron ended up marrying the brother. That he kind of took over as Brigitte.
I didn't hear that. Is there
no. I'm scared.
Get into
That's
the detail.
weird.
Get into the details.
You talking
No,
about?
brother, the problem is this.
I thought Macron was banging her when she was a teacher
brother,
or something.
I'm trying to exercise restraint. I'm trying to exercise restraint because I think she's crazy as shit. She's batshit crazy.
You really think you're there? You think
I am.
she's
I
that?
think she's. Look,
I'm gonna interview George
brother.
now.
I've read the details. They're so crazy. I mean, Salo himself here, the #1 apologist for Candace.
What?
Okay, he's shaking his head yes because he's crazy enough to read it, and I read it, and it's
so
that.
You think Candace Owens is batshit crazy?
I think she's batshit. Look, let's go back to where you and I started where you first heard my concerns were when she literally came out and totally embraced Holocaust denialism.
I remember that.
I mean, in which she had videos on X and other popular videos. I don't remember where else she was getting, where she denied, she was questioning the horror. I've been there. I've seen them, and I texted Nico yesterday. I've been at Auschwitz-Birkenau. I mean, she denying the horrors of Auschwitz and Dachau, where literally
based off
tens
what
of
did she do
thousands of little children were gassed and burned along with their parents. Okay, denying that shit, and then the all of the stuff that you can find on legitimate history books. I don't think she would recognize one if it smacked her in her ass. I mean, all of the bestial medical experiments under Josef Mengele, denying that shit.
She's denying all that stuff?
Yeah, it's mere propaganda, brother.
Wow.
And then on top of that, she to use, since we're talking about Judaism, she has the chutzpah, the balls to feel sorry for the Germans.
Macron's balls. Go ahead. Sorry, that was too funny. Keep going.
Which at any given time in Karen's narrative, they have balls, they don't have balls. Yeah. But I can't follow it.
But what is she claiming? What's her evidence?
German part?
What's her evidence?
You sent me a video about this where she said she saw a video in the BBC. Oh, in that case, why even go to school? Yes. Let's just watch a video by the BBC because they're totally impartial and there's just such great historians at the BBC. Give me a freaking break, man. So now, then she goes from there to literally reversing the narrative. So now the Germans are the true victims of World War II. And she blames the Allies. She blames the Allies and now almost feels sorry for Hitler's Nazi regime.
She says that. She said that.
The Allies are the true axis of evil.
Hold on, Georgia. She's saying that. You've heard that.
You sent me the videos.
Well, I don't remember. I sent you shit.
I read the videos. Kanan sent me a series of them Because I'm like, where are you getting? You're like,
but what's her
competition for
what evidence
Salo.
does she bring? Is she just saying it's the typical? I heard, I saw a video, someone claimed.
Yes, brother.
Where did she? Has she ever explained why she has this ideology now? No.
She always did. She just has video evidence now.
I didn't hear some of this. This is new.
All of this is rooted in a deep belief, and this is why I think this gets back. I'm telling you, for any of you who are listening, you understand blood libel history. It's a real thing.
Explain what that is, please.
Blood libel history is the notion. This really goes back to medieval times. The idea that during Passover, that Jews were abducting Christian children and that they were mixing their blood to create their matzvahs.
Wow.
Okay, and so this goes back to Jesus killer stuff. The Jews killed Jesus kind of thing. And if you've read scripture and you actually understand the gospel narratives,
where'd that come from?
It was the Jewish leadership who was not just priestly, but they were also political.
Political, yeah.
They were right, exactly. They were political leaders of the nation. It's under their facilitation and their orchestration that Jesus was executed. But it could not have happened unless the Roman government was in bed with them, because, as you guys may understand, the Jews as a vassal state essentially didn't have the authority to exact capital punishment on someone. So they blamed Jesus. The accusation was that Jesus had committed blasphemy. Leviticus 24:16, he had violated blasphemy. And under Old Testament law, the consequences of that is death. But you can't exact capital punishment on Jesus, so they needed the Roman state, which is why they needed Pilate. And Pilate said, I found this man to be innocent. Remember that?
Yep.
Under Roman law, and this is where they got him, because they were smart.
Matthew
Under
18.
Roman law, Pilate said, this dude's innocent.
Yeah.
I don't want his blood on my hands.
Yeah.
And so what do I care about your religious disputes? This is a religious matter. You handle it. Go to the synagogue. Take care of it there. You take care of everything else there. And they said, actually, no. He declares himself to be the king of the Jews. That's a different story.
Yeah.
No. Now he's actually he's setting himself up as a renegade leader against Roman authority. That's a different story now. Now that piques Pilate's interest. But he finds Jesus to be guiltless. But then there's this kind of orchestrated mass support, as you saw at the end there, in each one of the narratives in the Gospels, where there's been kind of a fomented support for the execution of Jesus. But this was facilitated by the Jewish leadership. So the rule or the rumor is the Jews killed Jesus, and so you've got a Christian Europe. There's a fomenting of anti-Semitism, and you have example after example. And Salo, you're here. Have you studied the Jewish pogroms of the 19th century? Brother, you should. There is pogrom.
How do you spell that?
Pogrom.
Pogrom.
I don't care if you're a left-wing guy or if you're a right-wing guy, okay? If you can read English and you can read, there's tons of actual historical books on this. Pogroms follow libels. Pogroms have been occasion after occasion throughout Europe, certainly the Middle East, but they weren't pogroms there. They were pogroms in the West. They are the extermination of Jews. What
do you mean? They're the extermination of Jews?
The extermination of Jews. There have been thousands of Jews that have been killed because of this fomented, this sort of
So if you're a Jewish pogrom, you have been
hatred.
killed.
That's right.
Because
pogrom,
of Jew hate.
That's right. It led to the persecution. It led to the incarceration. It led to the physical beating of, and it led to ultimately the death of Jews. There's a long history, and it always comes back to this notion that the Jews almost have this mystical standing, and that they are not just under every rock, but they are in charge of the world. They control. This is old. This has been going on forever. They control the whole of governments. Right now, that they control the U.S. Congress. They control the executive branch. The Jews are in control, okay? And so that's ultimately where this goes. But her narrative goes everywhere. Literally everything is the Jews' fault. It began with the bullshit World War II history that has no basis in fact, where she literally reversed the narrative, and now somehow, if you can find it, believe it, Adolf Hitler now almost becomes a victim. The idea that
Has she said
that
that?
there's that
Has
Stalin,
she said that?
Because that's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, what's the conclusion of establishing that it's all propaganda? And that the Axis powers now
But she hasn't said, okay,
are the victims.
I see what you're saying.
And that the Allies are now the true axis of evil.
Now, she's even actually she's teetering with blaming the Jews for Charlie Kirk's murder, too.
And
right?
she blames AIPAC for having orchestrated the assassination of John F. Kennedy.
I've heard that. That one I've
The
seen.
American-Israeli Political Action Committee. And on and on and on. It just never ends. Joseph Stalin was a closet Jew. You know, I mean, seriously, where is the historical evidence for that?
Well,
I mean, and on and on and on. And all I'm saying is, look, if you want to hold those views, it's a free country. Knock yourself out. But we have over 1,000 years of history where real human beings are killed. They are exterminated. They are wiped out because of fomented hatred that then becomes government policy. And anybody who doesn't think that there's a rising wave of anti-Semitism in the United States, you're not paying attention. And I'm not just talking about what happened in the aftermath of October 7th at university campuses all over the country. I'm talking about even in conservative, allegedly conservative wings. And I'm very concerned about that. I am. Because I know, I happen to know Jewish political history, and it ain't pretty. Okay, so I think she needs to turn down the temperature, at the very least, and I'm being kind, because there are serious consequences.
Well, she's not turning down the temperature. She's getting millions of views on her shows, and it's centered around her friend Charlie. And look, I mean, for me, I have to look at evidence differently, because just because I don't like what someone's doing in one area doesn't mean they're wrong. I don't write people off, because I look at something called evidence, objective evidence. Where they say even a blind squirrel gets a nut every once in a while, and a broken clock is right.
That's what they said about her, exactly.
You know? So that's, I have to make sure that I can see is she right about this? Because look, I don't mind her asking the questions. I love the questions. I ask questions, as long as you don't ask a question rhetorically, thinking you have the answer. That's it. Now, if you have the answer, just prove that you have the answer, and that becomes the answer, and then I'll start advocating that, because it's the truth, and I'm a truth scavenger, and I'm going to advocate the truth. So that's where, and now with Charlie Kirk, she's asking good questions. I don't like her conclusion. Just this investigation, there's things they're not releasing. I don't think Kash Patel is helping out, because he released a lot at the front. I think he was trying to be so transparent. I don't know. And he would say things and take it down and then say this and do that. There's questions I have, and many times there's answers to it. But I have a lot of questions. And there's legit questions. Salo has questions. People are asking questions. A lot of people online are asking questions, and a lot of people think that they're the expert. Everyone's an expert online now, and forensics doesn't work that way when it comes to bullets and this and shells and wound path analysis and how it performs in the body and damage and bouncing off of this or that. There's a whole bunch of ballistics that you have to look at. My understanding, because the big narrative was there wasn't an autopsy. There wasn't an autopsy, and if there wasn't an autopsy, that would be a huge issue for me. Huge. My understanding is, and has allegedly been verified, that there was an autopsy.
Yes.
And there has been, right? And so that's so all of this fodder on, this is what I tell people. And I said this when I was on with Jack, when I talk on our show, whoever has me on to talk about murder investigations and murder prosecutions and murder defense. The autopsy and the medical examiner's report will tell us almost everything. At least it'll tell us everything from these theories out there. It'll tell us the entrance wound. It'll tell us the exit wound. It'll tell us the path. And if they truly do have the shell, then we can do tool and firearm analysis. We can have a good opportunity to match it to the barrel that was found. And then they're supposed to have DNA on certain things. There's a way to do DNA, and there's markers they look for. And then, I'm sure you've done DNA analysis, George. I mean, there's a way to tie your DNA. And so all I'm saying is we're going to get answers. I think the problem is that you have people like Kash and other people that were just talking too soon. Just wait, find out the answers. I don't believe in trying cases in the court of public opinion. There's a person that's been accused. There's a defense team that's, I think, some from California, one from Utah, that they're asking for questions, and they're going to explore all of this. And they're going to see if the evidence ties this kid to it or not. I understand all the text messages, this and that. And I said this from day one also. If you have old text messages between Tyler and his boyfriend, you're going to see the way they talk to each other. And if this is not there's an analysis to people's conversations, and so you're going to see they always say my love and this. Like I say, I call my wife
To
Chula.
assess the authenticity
Well, yes,
of
I
that
mean,
communication.
yes.
Does it match every other communication
Absolutely.
that they had? Yeah,
I mean,
yep.
yes. Did he spill the beans and just and said, "Well, there's your case right there. If you can authenticate."
I mean, this is what
it
we
was
do
him.
to determine the authenticity of ancient texts.
Yep.
To make sure that it
Textual
was truly
criticism,
ancient, right? So it makes I didn't
Well,
think
that's
of
what
it. I didn't
that's
think of
what
it like that.
You
but
do it
that's-
that way,
yeah.
and you're going to see the message before, the message after. What was the last time you spoke? Where did you think he was? Supposedly the boyfriend is cooperating. Okay, that was. I mean, that's going to be an interesting interview. You're going to get a lot there. The parents. Why did the parents turn him in? What they think? Now Candace is claiming the parents said we don't believe our son did it. Well, then why'd you turn him in? Well, because we believed that was him on there. We saw him and we didn't want him shot. Okay, well then are you turning him in under protest? Are you turning him in saying, I don't think he did it, but I don't want him to get shot? He's innocent, but don't go kill him. And what did he say? I didn't do it. I mean, not that you have to say anything. You have a right to remain silent. I mean, there's just a lot. I've always just encouraged people to pause. Just pause. Let's wait. There should be video of the kid getting on the roof. If there's video of him getting off, there should be video of him getting on, unless he got on a different way. Find out which way he got on. I mean, there's a lot of things we need to do. How did he get the rifle down? Did he really take the rifle apart? Did he really put it back together? Who has the time to do that? Why did he do that? Where is it at? On the video, it looks like there's a stiff thing. Because remember, you have to look. This is not good quality, and it gets distorted. So you have a distance and distortion, and you don't know, and depth perception. All I'm saying, there's a lot here. So, and Candace, she has conclusions, and so I don't. She's just a mixed bag for me. I mean, I know you think she's batshit crazy. I think she's off the rails. I don't know if she's batshit crazy, but she's interesting for sure.
I mean, the Kanye West stuff. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. The people that she chooses to associate herself with. I mean, that was another turning point, if I dare use that. The Holocaust stuff was a big thing for me. The Kanye West stuff. I mean, he's coming out. He's going to go DEFCON 3 on the Jewish people. Remember that? Mm-hmm. We were talking about that on the show briefly, and then he starts blaming Jews for his career problems, you know.
That was really bizarre.
It's all that.
Yeah.
And then he starts saying that the real Jews are the black Israelites. And then, of course, that's totally legitimate, you know. And so saying that he finds a soft spot in his heart for Adolf Hitler. I mean, he has respect for Adolf. And she's right there with him. She's right there defending him. I mean, these are crazy, crazy positions to take. We have to just pause. There's a lot of Holocaust denialism. And this bullshit is trafficked through an otherwise legitimate educational system. That's the problem. I mean, this is crazy, crazy stuff. This is why they called it. That's why the
how do they? Well, now you got me curious. I know we got to wind up.
Never forget.
But how do you deny the Holocaust when we have videos and we have piles of bodies and we have pictures? And
we don't just have videos. We have transcripts.
Okay,
we have transcripts from the highest. Remember, Dwight D. Eisenhower was a general, and we have his memoirs. And we have correspondence, and we have the Nuremberg trials, and we have sheets and sheets and sheets of everything. The Nuremberg Code, which informs how we should look at freedom of person today. And you can't just be injecting shit in people's bodies. That comes out, that's an outgrowth of that.
Yeah.
Because of the experimentation.
What do they say about that? That's all just propaganda and made up, even back then? This was made up back
how
in
she positions it?
No, how did the Holocaust denier position
Oh, that's right. That's right.
That all that was made up back then?
It's propagandistic. This is all
we had AI back then or what?
I mean, it's the whole flat Earth.
I mean,
it's a whole flat Earth, and did we really land on the moon? I'm telling you, it's look, this isn't 5 or 6 people. There are a lot of people, who buy into this shit, and it's dangerous. And before the age of the internet, I mean, legitimate platforms could just say, we don't think so. We don't do crazy, crazy shit here. Now, all you need is an articulate voice, and a lot of these platforms are just, I mean. There's no gatekeepers. Now, even as I say that, I'm a free speech guy. So is the correction going to be worse than the problem? That worries me because do I want Candace to stop talking? I do. Do I want somebody to make her stop talking? I don't want the government to make her stop talking.
No.
That's a very dangerous
dangerous
precipice to fly off of. Do I think these organizations, these platforms should tell her to shut the fuck up? Because she's batshit crazy, and there are serious consequences. We have, especially when millions and millions of viewers.
She's getting a lot of views, man.
That there's a history of serious death and mayhem as a result of these positions, these on the Jews that have garnered public support, that then find themselves in the government policy, and then end up with extermination of Jews throughout history. Look,
has
Turning Point
addressed any of these conspiracy theories out there? Have they made it taken a position? No, of just conspiracy. I mean, because you would think that Erica and the organization and Andrew, whoever's taking over, would say,
knock it off.
Saying what? Okay, we got. I mean, that's curious to me too. I mean, so look,
And Nico, I just want to say this and I'll shut up. The silence on Islam, what you've brought up, I'm astounded, truly astounded by that. I mean, that is a true, real, present, existential
very much
danger to the West. And if she knew anything about Charlie, which she seems to know everything about Charlie, nobody else knew anything about Charlie, not even Erica.
She said that? She said that, or you just
no, I'm being, but she does say that she really knew Charlie, and that she had special, that she had special knowledge. She had interior or internal knowledge to Charlie. I don't think she said, and I don't know that she said that she knew more about Charlie than Erica knows. But she definitely positions herself as having some sort of isolated knowledge.
She's got to have the text messages, I'm assuming,
Charlie.
right?
Yeah, I'm still waiting for those. But I mean, speaking about it being an important voice, can you imagine the good that she could do?
Oh,
if
she did a lot of good.
Solo, seriously, I mean this. Can you imagine the good that Candace Owens could do if she could actually talk the way she does?
Yep.
As articulate as she is.
And bold.
On what's going on with Islam in the country.
And bold.
Are you
oh
kidding
my God,
me?
she'd be amazing. She's powerful. She'd be amazing.
She would be a potentate, and that's desperately what we need. Unfortunately, it's the Jews' fault.
Yeah. Well, look, Salo's going to take the weekend to mourn because his pastor Robert Morris was sent to jail this weekend, and then Candace just got eviscerated by George. Salo, you got 2 hits. You got your pastor Robert Morris is gone to jail, and he's a registered sex offender. And they'll both be back. So, gee. All right. Anything else? We're going to wrap up. Anything else? Nothing.
Good.
We're good.
ready
Guys,
to
thank
go.
you. Thank you, George, for that. Thank you for your thoughts. We know that you're going to be sending Candace a Christmas card. and so God bless you guys. Share this with someone that you may benefit from it. Thank you for joining. We really appreciate you for your viewership, sharing it with people, letting people know your questions. We try to go through many of them after, and I try to comment on as many as I can. But God bless you guys. Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.